Before we get into today's episode about Daniel Jones' second career NFL start, I just want to let you guys know that today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, of course, you all know it, you all love it. It's the best place to get tickets to sporting events such as football games or maybe even an MLB playoff game. I know a lot of you guys are probably Yankees fans if you're also Giants fans who are watching this video. I know I personally will be using SeatGeek to get some Rays playoff tickets because, I mean, if even the Rays games are getting sold out, I'm sure every other game is getting sold out, but with SeatGeek, you never have to worry about a sellout. You can always get some tickets. And of course, if you've never used SeatGeek before, you can save $20 off of your first purchase just by using the promo code JKS. That's all you have to do. The link is in the description below. Enter the promo code JKS, you'll save 20 bucks. And anyways, back to your regularly scheduled video. So Daniel Jones had a night of ups and downs in his second career NFL start, and so let's just jump into it and we'll start things off with this play. I think the best way to do this is to start things off with the negatives and then get on to the positives. So this play was one I would consider a negative, where it's going to be play action to the top half of the screen, and then it'll simply have a receiver run that route right there. And so really, for Daniel Jones, you would think the key guy to watch here is going to be that Washington linebacker right there, because if he bites on the play action and moves in, this now means that the receiver he wants to hit should be open, he can throw it over his linebacker and hit the guy that he wants to hit. And after this ball is snapped, the linebacker actually doesn't move in at all. He isn't fooled whatsoever on this play action. But of course, that's not the end of the world. I mean, there still is a window. Maybe it's not quite as big as it would have been had the linebacker completely been on a play action, but that's still okay. However, if you look past him and just look over, a defensive back who was playing zone coverage on this play actually realized, oh, okay, this is going to be play action. That means I should move in and try to make sure I take away this route. So essentially, this play just didn't work out well at all, and this is good coverage by Washington right here, and it's not a throw Jones should make. The first thing you should do if you're Jones is look at the linebacker and see if he gets out of position, and the second thing you should do is look at your receiver and see if he's open. Well, the linebacker is in position and his receiver isn't open, however, Jones still fires this throw, and it honestly could have been intercepted. To me, that's a rookie mistake. That's something that he sees, okay, on paper, this should be a good route to throw to. After the ball was snapped, it turned out it really didn't work out too well. It was well played by Washington, but he still tried to force something, and in my opinion, it was a mistake by Jones. That's actually what I would just chalk up a lot of his bad plays to, were rookie mistakes in a lot of ways. I felt like he had some good plays, he had some bad plays, but a lot of his bad plays really were just plays that you expect the rookie to make. Like this one's another one. It's going to be a cover 3 zone, and the route that Jones is going to want to try to throw to here is going to be that receiver right there. He can get in between the linebackers and the defensive backs who will be playing deep and potentially get open, and what you're going to see after this ball is snapped is that he does appear to be open right here. I mean, as you see, there's clearly some space, and the Redskin who's playing a little bit shallower is much further in. I mean, he's about 8-9 yards further in than the receiver that Jones would want to try to hit here. So while it's still not a perfect throw because you still do have to get it over him, there's definitely some space here that you can try to make this throw. However, there's going to be a problem, and that problem is cornerback Quentin Dunbar, who's right over there. The whole point of this play and the whole point of having a receiver run deep in Quentin Dunbar's zone is that hopefully he'll have to stay deep and stay further out, and then Jones can hit the receiver underneath him. However, he's going to read this play very well and actually jump in front and get the interception out of it. So, I don't really think this is actually that bad of a play. It was really just a good play by Dunbar more than anything. I mean, Jones, this is the kind of thing that he'll learn to maybe not make these types of throws sometimes, just simply because the talent level in the NFL is so much greater than it is in college. I mean, let's be honest, in college, that's never an interception. That's only the kind of thing that's an interception in the NFL. So I do think it was kind of a risky throw that he didn't have to make. I would say that was a negative, but it wasn't a huge negative, and it really was more so just a great play by Dunbar, more so than a bad play by Jones, in my opinion. I can definitely see the argument the other way around. I can definitely see people saying he has to get that ball quicker, but at the same time, he didn't really want to throw it on too much of a line, because if he throws it too low, it can get picked off by the Redskin in front of him. So he had to put some air under it. Maybe did he put a little bit too much? It's possible. It can be debated, but I think that's kind of nitpicky. I think it was just not a perfect play, but it had the absolute worst possible result, which is just going to happen sometimes in football. Although I did think that his other interception was a little bit worse. The way it's going to work is it's a cover 1 linebacker blitz right here, so it's a 5-man rush, and then, 1 player deep, and then man coverage all the way across the board. Pretty simple. And for Jones, the route he likes best is going to be that route, largely because it's Sheppard's route, which is their number 1 receiver, so that's where he's going to look to throw this ball to. And of course, it's just also a solid route against man coverage and against this type of man coverage as well. But after the ball is snapped, the one thing you will notice is that he's not really going to gain that much separation at all, honestly. I mean, maybe there's a tight window that he could potentially try to fit it through, but it's a very tight window. This is going to be a tough play for Jones to try and make. It's actually a similar way to how Dwayne Haskins threw an interception, although a little bit different because Dwayne Haskins tried Jabril Peppers on that play, who's someone I say, don't try, that guy's really good. This one's a little bit different because he does actually like this matchup here. It's once again Dunbar right there. He had a pretty good game, obviously, but he's going up against Sterling Sheppard. That's a matchup that Daniel Jones likes. Jones is saying that he has a good receiver in Sterling Sheppard, who I personally feel is very underrated. He's now looking to get open. He can try to make a play, so I'm going to fire it in there and see what happens. However, this one's going to end up getting intercepted. There really was no chance of Sheppard making that catch, and that is another young player mistake that you will have to learn from. When you get to the NFL and you see you have a guy like Sterling Sheppard on your team, Daniel Jones has never played with a guy that has the talent of Sterling Sheppard. He just hasn't. And so when you're practicing with the guy and playing with him in games or just in practice, whenever, you can kind of say, oh man, this guy can do everything. This guy's amazing. But he can't necessarily do everything. He will bail you out from time to time. He's not going to bail you out every single time. And that's just young players all across the board. That's just a mistake that they can sometimes make, is try to expect their receiver to do too much. Again, nothing major, nothing that would concern me if I was a Giants fan, but a small thing that he will have to work on, and I think he will work on in the future. So okay, enough negatives, let's get to the positives, and one thing that Jones does very well is his short to medium range passes. Those quick passes, he does have really good timing on them, and he's a killer against man coverage. Like what's happening here, it's once again a cover one linebacker blitz, and his tight end is going to be running that route right there, where it starts as a slant route, but then it's going to end up cutting out to the bottom half of the screen. He's going to try to fool the person who he's playing one-on-one coverage against and potentially get open. But what I love about this from Jones is going to be the timing of this play, because watch as when he finishes his route, he's getting ready to cut back to the bottom half of the screen right now, and if you look at Jones, he's ready to throw the football. He's going to hit him the second he cuts, so that's just perfect timing, and they're able to gain some yards on that one. I know that's not a highlight reel level play, but those plays really do matter. You want to time those right, because you don't want to hesitate and then just make a poor play. You really do want to time it right and make sure you get it at the exact point where he cuts, so that way he can gain as much yards as possible, and also the window will be as open as possible. One play that I loved from Jones was this one, where I talked a little bit about how he does play like a rookie in a lot of ways, and I do think that's fair, but also he had this play, which was just remarkable, I thought. This is high IQ football right here, as here's what's going to happen. It's going to be play action to the top half of the screen, and the receiver he wants to hit is going to be his tight end actually right over there, who's going to be running out to the bottom half of the screen. So pretty simple, get a quick pass, try to gain some yards, and then potentially get a touchdown on this play. That's the way it's supposed to work. Especially since it is play action, somebody might be thinking that the tight end is going to be blocking, and then he could potentially get open. However, after this ball is snapped, it's just not going to work out very well. Washington did a very good job of realizing what's going on, and they're going to cover up this route. That tight end is not going to be open here. And so if you look at Jones, he was looking over that direction, but now he realizes, okay, I can't really make a throw in that direction. Which, unlike that play I showed you earlier, this time Jones does a very good job of saying, okay, that's where I wanted to throw the ball to, but now I can't. Let's see what else I have going on. And so he's going to look over to the middle of the field. And, there's something right there that could maybe be open. There is a Washington player who has his back turned, so maybe Jones could try to zip this one through. So that is something that could be open. It would be kind of a risky play, because if the Redskins player who has his back turned turns around, it could end up as an easy interception. But that is something that you could potentially throw the ball to. However, there's going to be one other thing going on in this play, and it's going to be his halfback right there. And all of the confusion of the play action and the way this play has gone on for so long, and Daniel Jones going read after read, somehow the halfback has gotten himself completely free. Some Washington player just screwed up here. It's often hard to tell exactly whose fault it was on these plays, but somebody blew their coverage, and now there's a player wide open. But of course, Jones has to realize this. Keep in mind, his first read was all the way at the bottom half of the screen, and now the guy who's open is all the way at the top half of the screen. But he is going to look up, hits them, they're able to get a quick touchdown, and it's really impressive in my opinion to go through 3 reads like that so quickly. So that play was really impressive, and also, just to go back to those quick throws, I felt like his quick throws are really what makes him such an effective player at such a young age. This is his bread and butter right now. This is what he's going to do to try to be successful, because it's working. I mean, once again, play action to the top half of the screen, and then they have a receiver running that route right there, so pretty simple. Get the linebacker out of position, he'll get inside leverage on the corner, he can gain some yards. Pretty simple play. So after this ball is snapped, clearly a linebacker actually did take a couple of steps closer to the top half of the screen, meaning that this is actually a good situation for Jones, kind of. It's a good situation, as you see here, that receiver does have inside leverage. This is a throw that Jones can make. However, it's a tough throw because he's going to have to make it right now, and there's not a huge window. This is a play that if Tom Brady was on the field, you'd be saying, oh, no problem. Just make the throw. Simple as that. But if you had a less accurate quarterback who's maybe better in other ways, this might not necessarily be the situation that you want. However, New York knows what Daniel Jones' strengths are. It's those short passes, and if they can get an opening, even if it's not a huge opening this early on in the field, they're going to take it. And for a good reason, Jones makes a perfect throw, and they're able to get the ball inside the 10-yard line just like that. So yeah, that's kind of what Jones is. I probably won't be making a video every week on Daniel Jones. I wanted to make one this week, even though I made one last week, just simply because the last week's video didn't have all 22 footage. So I did want to make a breakdown of Daniel Jones with all 22 footage, just to kind of get a better feel for what he does well, what he does not so well. So that's what I thought of Daniel Jones' performance. I'd like to know what you guys think, and as always, thanks for watching.